Coming up on WFT's First at 5, a trio of murder suspects arrested in one North Central Florida town. How deputies were able to track them all down.
And an Ocala family has a new home thanks to a local program. Why city leaders say this is only the first of many homes they plan to build for neighbors.
And Alachua County's brightest minds gather for the annual robotics competition. The prize nearly 200 students are working for. First at 5 starts right now.
First at 5. From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
The Marion County Sheriff's Office arrested 3 separate suspects in unrelated murder investigations over a 3-day span. This is WFT's First at 5. I'm Nick Diaz.
And I'm Alex Land. WUFT's Jack Meyer looked into the 3 arrests and learned more on the strange coincidence. Jack?
Right now, the 3 suspects are waiting to be sent back to the counties and states where each of them are wanted for murder. And in each case, the men were taken down by the Marion County Sheriff's Office. It started on January 29th, when a team of deputies and U.S. Marshals arrested 26-year-old Zafari Francis at a home not too far away from the Ocala National Forest. He was wanted out of Hudson County, New Jersey for a number of charges, including theft and gun possession. But when investigators in New Jersey found out about the arrest, they issued another warrant, this time for murder. The next day, it took a high-speed chase for deputies to catch up to 22-year-old Zachary Frazier. Dashcam video shows deputies stopping Frazier after a brief pursuit in the small town of Reddick.
Out the window!
After taking him into custody, deputies learned he's wanted for a murder in the town of Mobile, Alabama. Investigators in Alabama say Frazier stole the victim's vehicle and drove it to Florida after the murder. And finally, on January 31st, deputies teamed up with marshals again and the Ocala Police Department to catch 22-year-old Ducio Charlemont. Charlemont is wanted for first and second-degree murder in Lake County, but that's not all. He's also wanted in Sumter and Marion counties for other crimes of burglary and running from police. All 3 suspects are currently at the Marion County Jail, where they will remain while awaiting extradition to their respective home counties. Live in the studio, Jack Meyer, WUFT News.
The Alachua County Sheriff's Office is asking the public to bring justice for a 40-year-old cold case. Gerald Davis was killed on February 5th, 1985. His body was found on Noonan's Lake Road, where deputies found he was shot. Anyone with information is asked to contact the Alachua County Criminal Investigations Division at 352-367-4170. The City of Archer might see decreases to city employee salaries, canceled upgrades to the community center, and unfixed roads. This is due to the city amassing a $1.3 million debt. This large bill comes from misspending loans and unpaid income taxes, according to the city's financial consultant. About $300,000 is money that needs to be made up after misspending Wild Space's public places surtax money. $600,000 is owed to Amherst Bank following a loan that was taken out for the city's wastewater systems. Another $300,000 is owed to an engineering firm, and the last $230,000 is owed to the IRS after the city bookkeeper failed to send city employees income tax. Officials say this debt could take 5 to 10 years to pay off.
We are now looking at I-75 along Marion County, seeing sunny skies with a little clouds for your evening commute. We should expect to see this weather continue. WUFT's Gancarz-Davies joins us now for the weather forecast.
That's right, Alex. We're going to be seeing that weather continue over Marion County and here on campus. Current temperature is just about 80 degrees, though we're going to see that decreasing in just a little bit after sunset. Wind coming out from the Gulf, just a little bit of a breeze, nothing that's going to knock your hat off. But this evening, we're going to see those temperatures decline down to the 50s, and we're going to see some fog form in those early morning hours as well. But luckily, during the day, we have this high-pressure system hovering above Florida that's bringing us those high-in-the-sky sunny days, and those are going to continue throughout the rest of the week. Coming up, I'll let you know how that fog is going to time out, as well as how the rest of the week is going to plan out here in Florida.
A Gainesville resident wants $25,000 after a false arrest. On April 1st, 2023, Precious Brown spent 6 hours in jail accused of committing fraud at a local ATM. Her lawyer claims that the actual identity of the thief was the actual criminal used the ATM shortly after Brown left the machine. Brown is now looking for money in compensation from GPD detectives, failing to fully investigate. It was not addressed at the City Commission meeting today, but we will follow the case for updates. The Gainesville City Commission unanimously adopted an ordinance to help trash collecting services fix their falling revenues. The ordinance will implement a 20% increase in solid waste collection fees, down from the original 25% proposal made in August. Public Works Director Brian Singleton says inflation is what is making the increase necessary. The increase in fees is expected to bring in an estimated $1 million in revenue for the Solid Waste Fund.
The city of Stark is asking for your help to identify the individual who stole multiple tools and went through different cars. The person was seen in the city yard around midnight to 4 a.m. and stole several thousands of dollars worth of hardware and spools of wire. If you have any information regarding this incident, contact the Bradford County Sheriff's Office at 904-966-6161.
Marion County just adopted changes to its animal ordinance. Some people say it goes too far, while others say not far enough. The changes include how many animals can be on a piece of property. It clarifies definitions including attack and bite. It addresses language for citations and adds authority for trapping animals on private property. Meanwhile, in Ocala, a dog owner is upset over his dogs being killed due to the animal ordinance. WUFT's Rhianan Beatrice reports the story out of Ocala in Marion County.
Animal control concerns have been at the forefront of people's minds, especially with the proposed changes to the Marion County Animal Ordinance. In Marion County, dangerous dog can have several meanings. Recently, Ocala PD shot Brian Strawn's 3 pit bull puppies. They died.
This is a pain that you can't describe. There's no words to tell you how it feels.
He says the police report states his dogs offended the 3rd definition of a dangerous dog, according to the ordinance. However, he disagrees.
When they came inside, they'd sleep in the bed. They were our little angels.
We reached the Ocala Police Department. We received a reply stating the department is waiting until the internal review is complete to respond. Moving from the city to Marion County. At the commission meeting, members expressed fears about potentially dangerous dogs and discussed updating the county's code relating to animal control. Marion County resident Brian Creekbaum spoke at the meeting.
It's ridiculous. You run a babysitting service for irresponsible pet owners. It's too loose already.
Back in the city of Ocala, Strawn wants his sadness to be a lesson for pet lovers.
I'm hoping my dogs, save some other animals' lives from this matter right here.
Changes on the matter have not been finalized yet. We will continue to follow along with any progress made on this ordinance. At Ocala City Hall, Rhianan Beatrice, WUFT News.
If you are driving anywhere tonight, double check that your seatbelt is on. The Gainesville Police Department and the Alachua County Sheriff's Office will be conducting a seatbelt enforcement detail from 6 to 11 p.m. Law enforcement will be issuing citations to anyone not wearing one. The agencies are reminding drivers that the front seat riders are required to wear a seatbelt. Ocala will start to see new affordable housing developments. This is after the first home was built under the city's Affordable Housing Initiative. The 2023 initiative addresses the housing needs of the community while making use of available surplus land within city limits. Crystal Canfall and her family are the owners of the first home. A ribbon-cutting ceremony was held by the City of Ocala's Community Development Services Department in partnership with DNS Development. The local developer was awarded surplus property advertised for affordable housing development. The city says projects like this one provide families with stability and strength in the community. Coming up after the break, local law enforcement offices are celebrating Black History Month. Stick around to see how these agencies are honoring their first African-American members.
And customers of a big insurance company in Florida may see rates decrease. More on how Ron DeSantis plans to lower insurance rates coming up after the break.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
The Alachua County Sheriff's Office and the Ocala Police Department are celebrating Black History Month by recognizing the first African-American officers on their respective forces. Walter Jack Coleman was the first deputy to work at ACSO. He was hired in 1949 after retiring as a military police officer in the Army. Cleveland Purcell Kendall became a sheriff's deputy at the age of 32. Both men were actively involved in the moonshine raids happening in the 1950s, and in 1952, both men founded the Florida Association of Negro Deputy Sheriffs. Coleman continued rising through the ranks, becoming the first African-American deputy criminal investigator in the state. He then became a sergeant in charge of the Criminal Investigation Division. And in a Facebook post, the Ocala Police Department recognized Alice Faison. She was the first black woman hired at the department back in 1969. She first came on the force performing tasks like record filing and fingerprint classification. But shortly after, the police chief approached her with a new offer of being a police officer. Officer Faison took part in crime investigations and even went undercover at times. Back in 2023, she was welcomed back to OPD to commemorate her achievements. Faison retired from OPD in 1986 after a car accident left her injured. She now runs an outreach program helping those in need.
Today marked the 9th annual Alachua County Public Schools VEX Robotics Competition. Nearly 200 students from elementary and middle schools across Alachua competed today at Lincoln Middle School. Students competed in teams in hopes of securing a spot in the state VEX competition in March. Today's contest was open to students of all ages and interests.
You don't have to have an engineering background. You don't need to know how to code. Those are things you learn throughout the course of doing club or class. The biggest thing that's built in wisdom program is associates, that they're able to communicate, strategize, design robots.
The VEX Worlds Competition is set to take place in May.
Customers of Citizens Property Insurance Corporation may receive rate decreases this year. That's according to Governor Ron DeSantis. 20% of Citizens customers statewide will see premium reductions. The Citizens Board of Governors in June approved a proposal that wanted to increase an average 13.5 rate statewide for the most common types of Citizens policy. But the State Office of Insurance Regulation has not ruled on that proposal. DeSantis says the decrease will help many customers.
It's not just good because we want people to pay less, obviously we do, but it's justifiable to say that those rates should go down. And so I'm glad they've evaluated it this way.
Citizens has grown to become the state's largest property insurer.
Warm air from the west is bringing fog to Florida. I'll time out this fog coming up.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Welcome back. It's Florida Severe Weather Awareness Week. Today, the Florida Division of Emergency Management is focused on hurricanes and flooding. Florida, on average, receives the most hurricane landfalls per year, so flooding is imminent. If you come into an area that's covered in water, it can be deeper than it looks. 6 inches of fast-moving water can knock adults off their feet, and 12 can sweep away a car. Follow evacuation orders and heed warning signs. If you have time before you evacuate, disconnect appliances.
Yeah, Alex, I'll tell you what, as a Florida resident myself, when there's a hurricane, I'm staying inside specifically due to those flood warnings. You never know what's in the water, Ben.
Definitely stay inside, Nick. Safety should be your top priority. Luckily, this week we don't have to worry about much flooding here in Florida, as we do have those nice sunny skies. Although there are a couple clouds, they aren't even going to be producing an inch of rain. Luckily, temperatures are in the 80s, but they're going to be getting a little bit cooler as the sun sets and we move into our evening hours. Right now, there's just a little bit of wind, but nothing that's going to blow you away. This evening, those temperatures are dipping from those 80s through the 70s, through the 60s, all the way to those upper 50s. And when they are at those lows, we're going to have some fog forming for you. I'll let you know how that's going to come up in just a moment, but our lows for this evening are in those mid 50s. They're coldest here in the central part of the state, a little bit warmer on the coast, but you can note they're just about in those mid 50s. If we look at our dew points, when those temperatures, those lows go below the dew point, that's when we're going to see that fog forming. You can see the dew points are consistently just about 5 degrees warmer than those lows, so we're going to be seeing a lot of fog coming into our region from the west. You can see by 2 a.m., most of the panhandle is covered in fog, and it's just creeping into our region. As we look a couple more hours into the morning, it gets its max amount of fog in our area at about 7 a.m., 8 a.m. After that, once you're done with your morning commute, it's going to dissipate a little bit until it's all the way gone by 10 a.m. and we're going to have that beautiful sunny day that we've been experiencing for the past couple of days. We're going to see that continue into the rest of the week, but looking at our hour by hour for tomorrow, those temperatures quickly climbing past that fog, past those 60s, into the 70s. Our high is actually going to be 80 degrees just after 4 p.m. with those clouds keeping it nice and temperate as we continue to go into the rest of our day and weekend. Again, those highs, we're going to feel those warmest temperatures in central Florida, a little bit cooler on the Atlantic coast and a little bit cooler here on the Gulf Coast, about 67 degrees in Cedar Key. That's the coldest area in our region. We're going to see those warm temperatures continue through the weekend. We're going to hit those 80s, even hitting 82 on Sunday with those sunny skies, just a little bit of clouds coming in early Saturday morning as that fog continues to dissipate. Now, where are these sunny skies coming from? When you see high, I want you to think high in the sky. The sun is out and shining and giving us that lovely warm Florida weather. And we're going to feel that Florida weather continue for the rest of the 7-day looking at our week. Our highs are just going to climb slightly from those lower 80s to those mid 80s, and we're going to have clouds forming throughout the week, but no rain is expected.
Coming up in sports, a full slate of Gator women's athletics goes down tonight as Florida women's basketball takes on Alabama and softball begins its season against North Florida. Women's hoops is coming off a historic beatdown of Arkansas and looking to fight back in the SEC, while Gator softball looks to embark on another run to the Women's College World Series. All that and more after the break.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Welcome to sports. I'm Ethan Eibe. Florida women's basketball returns to the O'Connell Center tonight to face number 23 Alabama. Kelly Ray Finley's squad is looking for back-to-back conference wins for the first time this season. WUFT's Alexis Tadros is live outside the O-Dome. Alexis, the Gators are coming off a great win against Arkansas earlier this week.
After an historic 108-78 win against Arkansas on Monday night, with setting a new conference record for points in a conference matchup, the Gators are looking to see hosting number 23 Alabama for the second time this season, seeking revenge. Back on January 2nd, the Crimson Tide beat the Gators by 10 points, but a win tonight would start UF's first win streak in conference play. This is Alabama's first time back in Reptile territory since 2023, which marks the last time Florida sought out victory. A win would be rewarding as the Gators head to number 2 ranked South Carolina next Thursday. The home stretch is going to be quite the competition as Florida faces 2 of the top 5 teams in the nation within their next 6 matchups. But first, the Crimson Tide. Tip-off is set for 7 p.m. Reporting live from the O-Dome for WUFT Sports, I'm Alexis Tadros.
Opening day is finally here for Florida Gators softball. The preseason #1 Gators take the field tonight against North Florida as they look to begin their journey back to the Women's College World Series. The spring begins anew for head coach Tim Walton's program. Now in his 20th year at the helm, he'll look to guide the Gators back to Oklahoma City, where they fell in the semifinals to the eventual champion Oklahoma Sooners last year. Walton will start the reigning SEC Freshman of the Year Keegan Rothrock in the circle tonight. First pitch against the North Florida Ospreys is set for 6 p.m. at KDC Scholl-Presley Stadium. Florida lacrosse is also right around the corner, and the Gators get their season underway tomorrow morning against Johns Hopkins. Head coach Amanda O'Leary has set the expectations high and is eager to get the new year underway.
We're a hardworking team. We always do well, looking ahead. And I think for us, it's just this first game, getting that under us and seeing where we are. And yeah, we'll go from there.
Florida is coming off their second trip to the Final Four and will play this season in the Big 12 Conference for the first time. The Gators enter the season ranked 5th in the nation. Their opening match against the 11th ranked Blue Jays gets underway at 11 a.m. tomorrow in Baltimore. National Girls and Women's in Sports Day was celebrated yesterday. The annual day of observance celebrates the accomplishments of female athletes and the influence of women and girls in sports. Crystal Moats, head coach of the Gainesville Gaviatas artistic swimming team, competed in the sport for 12 years. She says there is room for improvement when it comes to recognition for women in sports.
Male athletes are a lot more respected, higher paid, and I think that's something that I'd like to see change in the future.
Men were allowed to compete in artistic swimming, more commonly known as synchronized swimming, for the first time during the 2024 Paris Olympic Games. It is still a women-dominated sport, and Moat says it is inspiring for young girls to see that the top athletes are women. She says artistic swimming creates an environment for girls to encourage each other and work together to compete. And one last note, Vanguard High School enjoyed a bountiful National Signing Day. 15 athletes put pen to paper to take their sport to the next level.
Wow, Ethan. Vanguard is really turning up the heat with all these signees.
And speaking of turning up the heat, then we are finally going to be seeing some warmer temperatures this week after such a cold January. I personally am super excited, so can you give us one last check on the weather?
We do have a hot week coming up for February, Alex. All of our highs are going to be in the 80s, slowly climbing from 80 degrees on Friday all the way up to 85 on Thursday. Our lows are following a similar trend from those mid-50s to those lower to mid-60s, and although we don't have any rain coming, we are going to see some clouds developing throughout the week. Those cold fronts to the north aren't going to be affecting us much down here. We're going to continue to have those warm temperatures. Those early morning fogs are expected to continue throughout the rest of the weekend, but should dissipate after your morning commute and should have clear skies by around 10 a.m.
Thanks for joining us. We're back here tomorrow for another edition of First at 5.
But your North Central Florida news is always on at WUFT.org and all of our social media platforms. Have a good night.